Hello friends, today's video is the configuration, every single option on the Porsche 911 992 generation. It is somewhat overwhelming trying to configure a Porsche car, and particularly a Porsche 911, of which there are more than 200 configurable items these days. So that means more than 100,000 different configurations, which is why no two Porsche 911s are ever the same. You know, it's very nice being able to configure a car just down to your personal specs and tastes. But on the other hand, it can be quite daunting facing the choices that you have to make going through all of these. And of course, you can talk to your local dealer and they can help you configure the car, but of course, they always want you to spend a little bit more money, so they'll always push you for more and more options. Or you can go to other owners or forums, but the problem with that is people tend to defend what they have purchased, no matter whether they use it or like it or not. They don't want to seem like they made the wrong choice. So if they went and spent $2,000 on rear wheel steering, for example, they're going to say, oh my goodness, it's mind-bogglingly good, you should get it as well, which perhaps you shouldn't. And of course, there are a few options in here that are just ridiculous and people are going to laugh at you if you get them. So we're going to cover off every single option based on my experience of buying these cars and getting to drive these cars a lot on my YouTube channel, and the fact that I've frequently built the Porsche 911s for myself and overspec them and wasted money. So that's what we're going to try and do, is prevent you from wasting money by getting just what you need for your Porsche 911 and nothing more. And with that said, I'd like to point out that there are so many standard options on the current generation Porsche 911 that you can get this car with no options, none at all, just base paint and everything else as standard, and you're still getting a magnificent car that I would say is just as much fun to own and drive as a car with $50,000 worth of options. The other thing to say about options is they generally don't help with the resale of a car, and you should always configure your car to your taste, not the taste of the next owner. People do this too often. They're, oh Nick, I'm writing to you, the dealer told me I should get Sport Chrono, I should get this, I should get that. Otherwise I'll never be able to sell the car. This is nonsense. Just configure it to your tastes and your needs, you'll be fine. The car's still going to be worth just as much with or without whatever that option is that you're worrying about. Configure it to your taste. That's the whole point of buying a Porsche 911, is that they're infinitely configurable, so you should make it just for you. Okay, on with the configuration. And we're going to configure a Carrera S, and the reason we're doing that is because this is the most popular model by a considerable margin. And it's also one of the models which holds its value the best. In fact, apart from the Targa models, I believe the Carrera S is actually the best retained value model in the range. Okay, we're going to jump straight into colors. And colors, of course, it's just personal taste. What you like, you should put on there. With the exception of base black. Base black, this horrible water-based color, picks up damage like you're in a destruction derby. Do not get base black. It is terrible for damage. I've seen cars with only 2,000 miles on them that have already got scratches and nicks and dings in them. This color is terrible. If you want to buy a black car, spend the $830 and get the jet metallic black. It just seems to hide damage and not gather damage as quickly, and it's a nicer color. It's got a little bit of depth to it. Otherwise, yes, the 4 standard colors for free, and then we've got the 8 metallic colors currently. All nice colors. My personal favorite is the Gentine blue, which is quite different than the previous light blue known as sapphire blue in the 991 generation. As you can see here, it's a considerably darker and richer color, and I particularly like it when you match it with a lighter interior. Night blue metallic stays unchanged, and we've also got a new green color. Well, they say it's a green color. I'm a little bit disappointed that this is a bit too gray, but you do see the green in sunlight. Then we have the 4 special colors, but you will notice a new color being added, Python green. Very cool to see a brighter green joining the team. Very cool, but yes, the special colors you pay a bit more, $3,000 more to get something a little bit unique. And you'll notice that paint to sample is also missing from the colors at the moment. That will return in time, who knows when, and that's normally $11,000, and you can get a custom color. Well, when I say a custom color, it has to be approved by Porsche. So Porsche have a list of approved colors for their cars. You can speak to a dealer and they can give you the list, or you can find it online. Most colors are represented there. There's about, I think, 250 colors you can get paint to sample if you're willing to pay $11,000. If you're not willing to pay $11,000, then you're picking from these colors. And I beg and plead you to consider, look, you are buying a Porsche 911, it's a sports car, it's a special car. If you have a look around any parking lot anywhere in the world these days, you'll notice every car, whether it's a car, an SUV, a minivan, they're all black, white, grey or silver. The whole lot of them. I don't know when the world turned black and white. People have no imagination with colours these days. So this is a cool car. You should have a cool colour. So even if it's midlife crisis yellow, it's still going to be better than having a grey, white or silver car. Yes, have a think about it. Think about making the world more colourful. Pick a cool colour. Okay, onto the wheels. On the S we currently have 4 wheel styles, and really there's no difference in performance, no difference in configuration of the car. It's just wheel styling, your personal preference. If you're buying the model down, the Carrera 4 or the Carrera base Carrera, there is another choice of wheel that comes free, and that is the 19 and 20 inch wheels, which are slightly smaller. They actually do ride a little better, and they're good wheels for having winter tires because they cost a little less to put the new tires on. However, the rims don't fill the arches quite right in my eyes, so I would always pay the extra and get the 20-21 inch wheels. But once again, this is just personal taste. And then under wheel accessories, well, it's not really real wheel accessories, it should be called wheel configuration. You can paint or change the wheels as you see fit, including wheels painted in exterior color. Oh, this looks terrible. Yeah, it really does. Don't do that. Otherwise, yeah, jet black, and there's a few others, including a gold option there, which is pretty cool. Gold, actually, I think the gold looks pretty good with white paint as well. And of course, you can choose the colored crest for the center of the wheels. It comes gray standard, $190. You can make that colored. You can also do that after you've purchased the car. Third party and Porsche parts actually sell it for less than that. Okay, onto interior colors and seats. We'll jump inside the car for this. Turn this around. Right, and once again, this is an area where everyone just chooses black for some reason. Yeah, I don't know what the percentages are, but walking around showrooms, I would guess that it would be 80% of Porsche 911s have a black interior, and that's fine. You know, the black interior is very nice, and it's the hardest wearing. That said, I would like to see more people take up the two-tone options. The two-tone options are lovely. They not only give a bit of lift to the interior of the car, but they include a bunch of deviator stitching around the dash and on the doors and a few other places. Yeah, the two-tone interiors really look upmarket, and to me, if you're paying $3,000, $4,000 for a full leather interior, you might as well go the extra $500 and get the two-tone if it matches the color on the outside. The other options, there is one two-tone in the standard interior for free. This beige color actually looks fantastic in real life, and it is quite difficult to tell the difference between the $4,000 beige two-tone interior and the free beige two-tone interior. There are some subtle differences, but when you put these two cars side by side, most people will not notice the difference. So if you're looking for the beige interior, do consider the standard interior. It's still leather seats, still leather armrests, still leather everywhere you're likely to touch, but it's free. So, and it's a little harder wearing too, so it's certainly worth considering. Otherwise, there's another option called Sport Text Centers. I got this in my previous car. Now, the great thing about the Sport Text Centers is that they are a very comfortable seat. This is the cloth centers, and they breathe a little easier than the leather, and they make the seat feel a little softer. So if you're looking for maximum comfort, Sport Text is worth considering. It's disappointing that it's only black and black checkered at the moment. Used to be that you could get these in some cool colors, like my last car had blue center seats and so forth. That was really cool. But yeah, the Sport Text is a nice option. The downside of the Sport Text is that it is not configurable with seat ventilation. But seat ventilation comes with its own price. Not only does it cost, I think it's $800, but seat ventilation does make seats more uncomfortable. There is a layer, a membrane layer under the seats, which runs the little holes to suck the air down, which makes the seats harder. And so if you sit in a seat with and without seat ventilation, you'll notice the one with seat ventilation is a lot firmer to sit on. And I personally am put off seat ventilation for this reason alone. I do like to have that feature, but I like to be able to drive my car for more than an hour without starting to wriggle in the seat, which I find that does. And then finally, the most expensive option, the $5,300 option, club leather interior. This is another name for natural leather. They used to call it natural leather. It's got a different look to it and a different feel. It's a little softer. This is sort of the most premium leather, and you can get it with nice stitching, and it comes in the brown or the green. This is very rare, mostly I think because the colors, not everybody's into brown or dark green interiors, but it is very nice when mixed with the correct outside color. So yeah, that's the leathers. There's one more thing I'd say about the leathers, because you can pick some very expensive stitching for this. And I'm a big fan of deviated stitching. Anyone that's ever watched my channel will know that. Further down here past the seats, there's an area called seat centers and stitching, which too many people pass right by because they take a glance in here and they see $3,650 for stitching, and I can understand most people be put off because of that. But down under that is deviated leather seat centers. Now this is a great and reasonably priced way of really lifting the interior if you don't want to get a two-tone interior. For example, if you get a black interior, you could get a seat center which is just a deviated color, maybe match the outside of the car, or maybe just make it so that it's slightly lighter, and suddenly it improves the look of the interior of the car. Something to note here, this feature is not working on the US configurator at the moment for some reason. So if you want to see how this looks, go to one of the other countries' configurators and you'll see what a great lift the deviated seat centers for $1,000 is. Now, onto the seats, and here in the US currently there is 4 seat choices, 2 under the sport seats and 2 under the sport seat plus. Now the big difference between the plus and the not plus is extra bolstering, bolstering around the midsection and bolstering up around your shoulders here. Now, generally speaking, if you want to go for the safe option, get the sport seats. But if you want to go for the cozier option and sometimes the more comfortable option, you need to go and try these seats, because it completely depends on your body shape, whether you're tall, short, wide, whatever. Everybody has a different preference for these seats. I personally prefer the Sport Seat Plus. I find it more comfortable and I like the way it holds me in the seats. But if people that are taller than me or people that are wider than me can find them quite uncomfortable. So if you want to be safe, go for the sport seats. As for the 4-way options on these 2 seats, the 4-way adjustment is electronic forward and back of the seat and up and down at the seat at the back. What it misses out on is up and down at the seat at the front. Now, this isn't the end of the world. You can actually manually adjust this afterwards. So if you find the seat isn't high enough up or down, you can get into the seat and you can put spaces in there and you can adjust that. And the big advantage, well, the 2 big advantages of the 4-way seats, obviously, you're saving yourself $2,000 or $3,400. Plus the slider seats, so you can just lift the handle and slide backwards and forwards, which I love. I love that feature. I love to be able to move the seats in and out. Especially on a 2-door car, it's very nice to be able to pull up and have the seat slide straight forward instead of waiting for it to whir forward. So yeah, it is nice. You don't see the 4-way seats very often. It's certainly something that always tempts me. The thing that I like about the 14-way and the 18-way, on top of being more adjustable and having lumbar support and so forth, is that they also have the memory package, and that memory package is nice. It memorizes not just where the seats are, it memorizes all sorts of other settings in the car, including the air conditioning settings and the mirror settings and all sorts of stuff. And so that's often the reason why I end up going for 14-way or 18-way seats in my cars, just for getting the memory package more than anything else. But unfortunately, this is not something I can make a recommendation on, because everybody's shaped differently, so you are going to have to go into a dealership and try and find cars that have both Sport Seat and Sport Seat Plus. And unfortunately, sitting in another type of Porsche doesn't help, because the Panamera, the Cayenne, the Macan, they all have completely different seats, and 911 seats are specific to it. So you have to sit in a 911 in order to try out these seats. On to packages. Now, packages is a North America thing. You don't see this often in other countries, some countries, but not very often. It's just a packaging common items to give you a savings, and I've already done the math on these. If we look in the premium package, what do you get? You get the PDLS light moving stuff, comfort access, Bose, seat ventilation, lane keep assist, and active cruise control. Interesting options. You didn't see adaptive cruise control very often on 911 in the past. Now you see them on all of them, because everyone seems to get this premium package. So What are the numbers? If you add all those up individually and buy them individually, it's $7,320. This package is $5,380, so you're saving $2,000. So it does, if you're looking to get all of these options, it does save you $2,000. What I'll say though, as you'll see later in this video, is that one of these options no one would ever get, and that is lane keep assist, which is so poorly implemented in the 911, it's just a joke. No one would get it. And that's $1,000, so really you're just saving $1,000. So $1,000 is still good. If you're looking to get all these options, great, save $1,000. But I think a lot of people would probably skip at least one other of these options, so maybe not the deal of the century. And that's true of the sport package as well. There's a sport package for the PDK and a sport package if you're getting the manual transmission. The sport package, let's have a look what's in here. Popular items, the sports exhaust system, which a lot of people get, sport chrono, which a lot of people get, and PASM, the suspension as well. Now, the numbers on this are, of course, if you add all those up, $6,690. This package is $5,460. So once again, you're saving $1,200. And I'd probably get this one here, the sport package with the manual transmission, which of course is only two things. So the savings isn't great there. You're only saving $500 if you're getting this package with the manual transmission. And of course, if one of these items, which is true of me, is something you don't want, you wouldn't want to get it. But yeah, there you go, that's the savings. So $2,000, $1,200, and $500 are the savings on those packages. Okay, on to the exterior. How long have we been going for? Like 20 minutes already? These videos just go on forever. Such torture. Electric slide tilt sunroof. This is the metal sunroof. Very uncommon to see the sunroof because generally people buy the sunroof more to keep it closed and let the light in than to actually use the sunroof, because the sunroof does look a little odd when opened on this car. But occasionally you do see this option. It's the cheapest sunroof option at $1,500. Yeah, I maybe have seen this option once before. Yeah, most people go for one of the next two options. A very common option is the electric slide sunroof in glass. Very nice from the point of view that it allows a lot more light into the car. This is a small car. You can feel a little cramped for some people, so the sunroof in glass does allow you to make the car feel more roomy. It does, of course, open and close as well. Interestingly, the button's right beside the cup holder, so I've noticed already that the buttons get very sticky from coffee being spilt on them. But yes, it does work, and it is quite noisy when it's open, so most people just, as I said, leave it closed. The carbon fiber roof is a new option for this generation, and it, as it says here, saves 30% weight in the right place. You know, if you're going to be tracking this car, if you want to get the most out of it, yes, the carbon fiber roof is the way to go. You know, it's, you know, the carbon fiber roofs, BMW had carbon fiber roofs the last 10 years, and it's always sort of been the in thing to have. So I'll be surprised if we don't see a lot of people get this. It is kind of expensive, $4,000. I don't know, I think I'd still stick with the boring glass roof. Next is the Aero Kit. Are you a person that as soon as you got your first car, you stuck an enormous big wing on the back? Then yes, this is the option for you. Yeah, the Aero Kit is a little controversial. You know, as you know, the whole reason for owning a Porsche, and particularly a Porsche 911, is to clear up any confusion people might have as to whether or not you're an arsehole. Well, a giant spoiler will certainly do that. But the Aero Kit is actually a package kit. The $6,900 includes the Sport Design front fascia, which we like, the Sport Design rear fascia, which some people like, the rear slats in silver, which no one cares about, a third brake light, and of course a collection of plastic outdoor furniture on the rear of the car. Now, it seems that everybody loves this for some reason. I don't know, I think it really ruins the lovely clean lines of the Porsche 911. But on the other hand, everybody's taste is different, and so if you think this looks fantastic, you should go ahead and get it. But what I would say is, if you're going to the expense of getting the Aero Kit at nearly $7,000, why not spend a little extra and get the Aero Kit Plus, which adds bright color, the gold wheels, a ponytail, and a front air scoop in carbon fiber, just to complete the look. Take it home. Oh, the tragedy. Next is the Sport Design package for the front and rear, and it gives and it takes away this option for nearly $5,000. On the front, it gives the front fascia which a lot of people like. Some people don't like the smiley face, the new smiley face of the front of the 911. It's grown on me. I like it either way. But if you don't like that, you can get this. It does bring the front lip down a little bit more, so you will get more scrapes. And it removes the active grills that reduce the cooling into the radiators when the engine's warming up and when the air is super cold. So it does actually reduce the fuel efficiency of this car when you have the Sport Design package. It also adds the Sport Design package to the back, which is purely a matter of taste. Some people love this, some people find it too busy. As you can see, it moves the position of the license plate further up the grille. I thought I loved it on the configurator until I saw it in real life, and then I was, no, I don't like this. But it's personal preference. Don't listen to me. Get what you love the look of. $5,000. Yeah, it's mostly cosmetic, but it does change the approach angle of the car and does reduce the fuel efficiency ever so slightly. And if you don't like the rear, like me, if you like the front but not the rear, you can just pick the front fascia here for $3,200. That's a nice option for some people, as opposed to getting the rear as well. Next is the protection film, or paint protection film. At last, Porsche is starting to offer this. It's not ideal yet. First of all, it's kind of expensive for what you get, $2,760. Most professional paint protection film appliers would charge between $2,000 to $2,200 for applying to the front of the car, so it's a little more expensive to get it done at the factory, and you're not getting a better quality fit at the factory. In fact, Porsche seem to send their cars out from the factory to get this done, and so I've looked at a few cars that have come from the factory with this, and it's fairly inconsistent as to the quality of work. It's still good, but you can tell sometimes that they've used pre-cut, and so it doesn't quite fit perfectly. And sometimes it's 3M, sometimes it's XPEL. There's no rhyme or reason, and there's no answers from Porsche as to whether they're going to standardize this. But if you're getting the car in Germany and you're going to do factory pickup and drive it through Germany, I think this is a must, because Porsche cars pick up damage like nothing else. Just in a few thousand miles, you can have stone chips. Just incredible how quickly Porsche sports cars pick up damage. Always have paint protection film, whether or not you get it from the factory. Your choice. Yeah, $2,760. I'd certainly be tempted if I was picking up from the factory. Otherwise, get it done here in the US. Perhaps a little bit better job than you get from the factory fitting. Next is Sports Design side skirts. Just a little addition on the side here. As you can see, one of the demo cars I've got here has got it. Just a slight change in the look to the side. Used to be standard on the 4S model. The side skirt's now an option for any car. Just finishes the look, I think. Power folding exterior mirrors. This is a double option. This both gives you the folding mirrors and the little courtesy lights that sit underneath it. It's pretty cheap at $370, and it's a pretty popular option. However, I refuse to get it anymore because the power folding mirrors often fold up when you don't want them to, and they look ugly when they're folded up, and I just don't think this is a necessary option. Yeah, I can always do without this, but yeah, if you're going to be parking in tight spaces, this might be the option for you. Exterior mirror, lower trim, exterior color, and base in high gloss black. As you can see, it just paints a little bit more of the mirror and makes the rest of the mirror in high gloss black. $660. Purely a cosmetic addition. Most people won't care. And a similar option here where it paints the entire mirror the color of the exterior of the car. Once again, I don't think most people will notice. And then a ridiculous option of mirror in carbon fiber and lower base and high gloss. God, who does this? I'm sure there's a much cheaper way of doing this if you're really in love with carbon fiber. A third-party option for this, but yeah, if you want it from the factory, maybe it looks good against white. I don't know. I think this is a nonsense option myself, but yeah, it's once again purely cosmetic. Doesn't do anything for the performance or drivability of the car. Then we've got the window trim in high gloss black as opposed to just black. Once again, this is a very difficult option to spot the difference. Yeah, you're working pretty hard to spot the difference on this one. I'm not sure how many people would bother. And window trim in silver. This one's a good option as a contrast. option on certain colors. Once again, personal taste. Okay, next, underdoor puddle projectors, $160. Every now and then, Porsche adds an option that is so down market in their options list that it instantly becomes an object of ridicule within the Porsche community. Welcome to underdoor puddle projectors. Yes, if you glance across next door at your neighbor's 16-year-old kid that's got a 96 Pontiac Sunfire, you'll notice his car has underdoor puddle projectors at $14.95. Yes, same product, just charging a lot more for Porsche and same ridiculous result. Yeah, the ownership experience of having the puddle projectors is that for the first day, you open the car and you go, oh, that's a neat gimmick. I've got Porsche lit up underneath the door. But then you quickly realize that it is the same feature that very beat up 4-cylinder Mustang that you rented from the airport the other day had, and you thought it looked kind of tacky on that. Well, guess what? On a car that is $100,000 more, it doesn't look any less tacky. Yes. Pretty quickly, I've noticed that I've got a friend that's got this on his car, and he went and put electrical tape over the projector to hide the fact that he's got this feature. But unfortunately, of course, if you get this feature, it's always in the configuration. People can always tell you've got this option. Just don't get this option. It is terrible. And Porsche, take this option off, because I can understand people accidentally getting this. Yeah, $160, that's a neat gimmick, and turn it on and there's no turning back time. You have got that terrible feature from that point on. What does it do? As it says in the description, it writes Porsche below the door. And some people even claim this is a safety feature. No, this is just a cheap gimmick that has somehow crept into Porsche cars, and I hope Porsche removes this option as soon as possible, because yeah, it's something that people love to make fun of when they see this on the car. Yeah, don't tell anyone you've got this option if you do have this option. Underdoor light puddle projectors, just say no, friends. Model designation doors. On the doors, there's a whole bunch of these. I won't go over each one individually. It is, as you might guess, some writing on the doors which tell you what model it is. It's popular on the GTS models. $310, just say no. And then we've got a bunch of motorsport stripes. Once again, if you love the look of 1990s American muscle cars, this is definitely the option for you. Yeah, it's a certain taste that would pick this option. Maybe the same taste of people that would put that big spoiler on the back. Yeah, something you might want to avoid, and something you can add later if you really want to. I don't know why anyone would. I'm just going to skip past all those. Once again, stripe decals are this. And then yes, then there's some other decals on the side. This model has so many different decal options. In fact, the only good use for these ridiculous Porsche vinyls is to recreate some of automotive history's most iconic vehicles. And then there's engine compartment cover in titanium grey. This option. Who is ever going to see this? I do not know. Yeah, you actually have to lift the tiny little engine compartment cover and show people this ridiculous option at $460. No. Model designation changed to 911. This is very popular for people that think that the rear of the car looks too busy with the full name on it. I see this a lot. It's very nice. And as it should be, it's free. And then the Porsche logo, this is the bit up here, painted in black, which is very popular for lighter colored cars. And then of course you can have the Carrera S, or the nomenclature changed, high gloss exterior color, etc., etc. All personal taste. Once again, depending on your configuration, your car, we won't go through each of those. And you can actually have everything deleted, much like on this car here, where it's just a nice clear rear end. And then finally, a very popular one, which I'm surprised at because it makes so little difference, is the rear lid grille vertical slats in exterior color. I see this all the time, and it is extremely hard to tell, I think, that you've done this. I don't think it's worth the $720, but it is a nice little finishing touch for those of you, particularly people that have got lighter colored rear cars. But as I said, it is tricky to tell that that's on there. Okay, on to performance options. Some of our favorites in here. And the first thing in performance is the transmission, 8-speed PDK versus 7-speed manual transmission. and you're either one way or the other, and there's no bad choice here. The PDK is excellent. It's faster, it's more fuel efficient, it's easier to drive, you name it. That's why the PDK is so popular. Some 97% of Porsche cars have a PDK in it, as opposed to the unloved manual transmission, which is my personal favorite. The manual transmission, of course, gives you more of a direct feel with the car. Cars with manual transmissions do hold their value a lot better. And of course, they're an anti-theft device because so few people know how to drive a stick here in the US anymore, so your car's not going to get stolen. But I'm going to do a whole separate video on the PDK versus the manual transmission coming up soon, so we won't dive into this too much. But yeah, you generally know if you're going to get a manual transmission or the PDK. Another thing I'd say is the manual transmission looks so much better. The gear shifter in this new 992, it's such a sweet looking thing. And of course, the Sport Chrono comes standard with the manual transmission, so you get the rev matching if you want to use that, and the other features of the Sport Chrono. So yes, people have been saying that there's no discount, but of course about $2,700 worth of discount because you're getting the Sport Chrono for free. The only other thing to take into consideration with the manual transmission is that it's not compatible with the adaptive cruise control. Requires the automatic for that. So if you need adaptive cruise control, get the PDK. Okay, moving on to the next option, which is the dynamic chassis control. Now, I've had this in one of my Porsches, and I've had a Porsche without it, and I can say you can definitely do without this option. What does it do? Well, it provides cornering stability for the car. It pumps oil into the suspension on the side that the car's leaning into, so the car handles completely flat. And this system does work, and it does work brilliantly. Where this system is useful is for cars that are a little top heavy. So you see, it might be more useful in like an SUV, but then again, you're probably not going to track an SUV. So where I really see this being an important addition is for the 911s that are top heavy, like the Targa or the Cabriolet. Certainly you'll see some body roll hard into corners in those cars, and this system can help alleviate that. But for a regular coupe, I think the more natural handling without this is superior, and there's, as I said, there's hardly any body roll in these cars anyway. The suspension travel was so short, it's just not worthwhile. The only other thing I would say about the PDCC is that some people find the way that it keeps the car flat and the way that it messes with the suspension to be unnatural, and it causes some people to feel sick. I've certainly experienced that myself, where passengers have felt sick with this system but not in cars without it. So just something to take into consideration. $3,000, it's kind of an expensive option. It is a really high-tech, fancy Porsche option, so some people want to get it just for that reason, but you can totally do without this. But certainly consider it if you're getting a Cabriolet or a Targa. On to rear wheel steering. Now, rear wheel steering, what is it? Well, it helps the car corner at high speeds by allowing the rear wheels to turn in, and at lower speeds it helps with parking and so forth by allowing the wheels to turn the opposite direction. And it does work, and I have had this in one of my 911s. However, is it the greatest thing ever, as some people claim? No, it's not. If you are going to be tracking your car and taking it to the limit, you will definitely see the benefit of the rear axle steering. Or if you're doing a lot of U-turns, yes, it can reduce the turning circumference of a 911 by about half a car width. Otherwise, I think most people will never notice whether or not they have this. Now, what's interesting is if you talk to people that have got this feature, or you go into the forums, they think this is the greatest feature that could possibly be. The reason I say that is I went to a Porsche track day driving event last year, and one of the things we did on that event was try and experience the advantages of the rear wheel steering. Now what happened was pretty interesting. It was a bunch of 911 owners, and you could take the Porsche supplied cars out on the track, and you follow a professional driver at high speed around the corners, and you're meant to be able to feel the difference. Now, at the end of that event, everyone was standing around and going and singing the praises of the rear wheel steering and how amazing it was and what a big difference it made. However, I had noticed that none of the cars that we drove actually had this feature. because I know how to spot it. And I went and saw the Porsche guy and said, you do know that none of the cars have got that rear wheel steering, and yet here we are raving about it? And he goes, yeah, I know, they sent us the wrong cars, just keep it quiet, you know, no one will notice. And I was, what? No one will notice? And they didn't. That was the thing. Everybody there owns a Porsche, and everybody, you know, should know the difference between a car with rear wheel steering and not, but they really don't. And even I struggle to tell the difference. And it's only at the limits of the performance of the car on a track or screaming around the back roads that you'd really notice. So yes, it does work, but would most people need it or notice it? Absolutely not. $2,000 you can save unless you're really pushing your Porsche 911 to its limits. Next is sport tailpipes in silver and sport tailpipes in black, $760. I'll be very surprised if anyone gets this option. The reason being that most people are going to go for the next options further down, which is the sports exhaust system, which gives you the oval tailpipes. Most people are not going to have the 4 pipes, and if they are, I don't think they're going to bother paying $700. If you look on the configurator, you can see it's just a slightly different look than the standard tailpipes. I don't get it. I don't get this option at all. So, yep, probably $760 you can save. And as I said, the sports exhaust system in black or silver, this is always a very popular option. Now, one thing I'll say is that the Porsche 911 is an extremely loud car with or without the sports exhaust system. I've done videos on this before, and maybe I'll do some more in the future, but compared to a regular car, compared to say, you know, a 3-litre saloon car, the Porsche 911 is 5 times louder than that anyway. But the sports exhaust system bumps that up a little bit more and allows you to adjust between loud and super loud. There are, of course, limits. The German government imposed limits to how loud cars can be back in 2016. So they're not as loud as they used to be, but still pretty loud. And really what you're buying here is not just a little bit more volume, but you're buying a different look as well. Obviously, the oval pipes spread out like that. I like them. I didn't like the oval pipes in the 991.2. They were close together, made the car look slimmer to me. But the oval pipes on the 992 I think are fine. So I'd personally probably get this option. Silver or black, depends on your exterior color, of course. But don't be fooled. The oval pipes are just a cosmetic thing. If you look inside, you'll see that it's still 2 pipes inside this big oval pipe. Next is a very expensive option, the Porsche ceramic composite brakes, which are standard on some of the upper levels, like the Turbo S gets this standard. And what is this? Well, as it says, it's the composite brakes, and they are excellent. There's no question. If you are going to be beating on your car on a racetrack, these are the brakes you want. However, that said, the existing 6 caliper red brakes are huge and more than enough braking for just about everything you ever do, including hard work on the track. Yeah, the ceramic brakes do take it to another level, but generally speaking, most people, unless you're really bashing it on a track, will be fine with the 6 calipers. You can bring this car down from 180 miles an hour to 0, full braking several times with the standard steel brakes. So no one needs the composite brakes, but they're nice to have if you're really bashing it on the track. The other advantage, of course, is no brake dust. Yes, they don't cause any brake dust, so some people get it just for that. Some people spring $9,000 to keep their wheels clean. The downsides of the ceramic brakes are, of course, $9,000. Plus, the first time you stand on the brakes, really brake hard, sometimes you can get squeaks out of these brakes that are a little bit more talkative than the steel brakes, and that can drive some people nuts, especially after spending $9,000, because generally speaking, Porsche will not fix that problem. They consider it normal wear and tear, so you'll get a little bit more squeaking and brake noise from the ceramic brakes often. I've got a couple of friends that have got the ceramic brakes, and that really drives them mad, the noise they make. But overall, an excellent feature, but not necessarily, as I said, unless you're really beating on the car on the track. And then you can get the red brakes for whatever reason in black. I've got a car here today that has that. I guess it's just a cosmetic thing. If you've got a certain coloured car and the red calipers are going to clash with your white car or something like that. Quite popular, I see everybody's getting their black brakes. It was only a couple of years ago that everybody that got black brakes was painting them red. I don't know. Brake fashion, who can keep up? And then speaking of brake fashion, once again you've got the ceramic brakes, but this time, if you don't like the yellow calipers, you can get them in black. Who knows? Sport chrono package. This, as I said, $2,700, comes with the manual transmission if you get that. With the manual transmission, its biggest feature, apart from the timer clock on the dashboard, is that it allows the car to do rev matching if you want it to between gears. So as you change down, it'll automatically rev to exactly where the mesh is for that gear. Makes you sound like a bit of a hero, but those of you that drive manuals can probably do that anyway. Most people can. But yeah, if you wanted to get it just perfect and sound like you really know what you're doing, it's nice to have the Sport Chrono in the manual. As for the PDK cars, this obviously adds launch control. Which you'll use 3 times and never use again. Launch control is all about getting the fastest off-the-line speed for your car, and once again, makes you look like a bit of a hero. It revs up to a certain speed, and then you can drop the brake and it will launch you away as fast as it will go. Works very, very nicely. It also adds the little mode switch on the steering wheel to switch you between Sport Plus and Sport and Standard and Winter and all the other modes. It also adds the Sport mode. If you've got the PDK, you don't get the Sport mode switch with the manual. All the Sport mode does is puts the car in its lowest gear for the next 20 seconds. It's really no big deal. And of course, you get the active driveline mounts, which reduce a little bit of the engine vibration back into the cabin. So overall, the Sport Chrono package is very popular. Generally, I would always recommend getting it if you're going to go as far as getting a nice expensive sports car. Spend the extra $2,700. It is the only thing that people notice is missing in the secondhand market. But as I said, it shouldn't have any effect on its resale value whether you get it or not. But one of the most popular options is the Sport Chrono package. Next is Power Steering Plus, a surprisingly popular option. I don't know why. All it does, it's a software option that boosts the power steering at low speeds. So sort of below 30 miles an hour, I think it is, the steering becomes a little lighter. Now, the steering isn't heavy to start with. I don't know why people need to get this option, but everyone does. Maybe people got weaker arms than me, hard to believe. I'm pretty weak, but yeah, I've stopped getting this in any of the cars I buy, and I find that's perfectly fine. But if you get it and you find the steering's a little bit too light, your local dealer can turn the Power Steering Plus off. However, they're not allowed to turn it on if you didn't get it in the first place. I think they can turn it on for free, but I don't think they do. So Power Steering Plus, $280, a slight decrease in price. Get it if you want. Next is front axle lift system. I'm going to sound really ageist here because, and I'm sorry, but I noticed that it's really seems to be the only people that get this, or most people that get this, are older gentlemen that keep their 911s in the garage year round and rub them with a nice soft cloth and never drive them. Yeah. This certainly seems to be for people that are super cautious. Certainly, if you have a very steep driveway or you have some crazy obstacle you need to get around every day, definitely get the front axle lift. But here's what I'll say about it. I have never seen a Porsche 911 with this option that doesn't have front scrapes underneath the front lip anyway. So people that get this don't ever seem to remember to turn it on or turn it on too late or whatever. It doesn't seem to save anybody from anything. It is an overcautious feature, especially on a Carrera, which, while it's not, you know, an SUV, it's not as bad as you think. I've never had front axle lift. I drive my cars pretty hard in the snow, all over the place, never slow down for driveways, and nothing ever broke off. The front lip does take a little scrape underneath. There's a scrape plate that's designed for that, just a bit of plastic that can be replaced. But honestly, this is mostly unnecessary, and this is an option that people really fuss over. Do I need it? I might have to drive up something. I might have to drive over a speed bump one day. you don't need it. You generally don't need it. So yeah, skip past this $3,000 option unless you know that you're going up some pretty crazy inclines that will not make it otherwise. Next is PASM Sport Suspension Lowered 10 millimeters, $1,000. It's quite a jump in price. It used to be $350, I think. Now, this isn't one that just about everybody gets because it's in a package, or people just get it because it's reasonably priced and got to have this. I'm in total disagreement. I don't think this is a must-have option at all. The wording of this option really annoys me because this option is not for the Porsche active suspension management. It is for the 10 millimeters lowering. Every Porsche 911 comes standard with the PASM. And people don't realize that. No, this option is just for the lowering, which is a cosmetic and a slight handling improvement, but a noticeable decrease in ride comfort. So I think a lot of people would not want this option, but this is now pretty much standard across the range because people think it is PASM, which it is not. Now, the Porsche 911 is a wildly uncomfortable car to drive anyway. It's a sports car, it's meant to be. You know, you're gonna feel every bump, a lot of engine noise. That's the whole idea of a sports car, is to really feel everything that's going on. They are not comfortable cars, and this option definitely makes things worse. The reason I don't like it is because without this, you're still getting sport suspension, but you're getting a little bit, just a little bit more suspension travel, only 1 centimeter, but it does make a huge difference to the comfort of this car. And the car still handles like magic. So yes, if I have the choice, I do not get this option. But I understand most people would. If you want your 911 to be just a little more comfortable, forget this option. If you think you're going to be tracking this car a lot and you want every little bit of handling performance, this is the option for you. There you have it. And so that's the end of performance options, which puts us exactly halfway through this video. So for the thrilling conclusion of the all options video, you'll have to watch part 2 coming up shortly. Anyway, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below, and we'll see you in part 2. And if you're wondering where to acquire the ridiculous t-shirts that I wear in my videos, they're all here in my store, all your favorites, including offensive stamps and my rapid dry towels as well. Yes, Nick Murray t-shirts, being a little inappropriate since 2016.